Hello, everyone. I'm going to live stream this paintover today, and graciously, the Forge of Mars accepted my super short notice invite. So, thanks for making it today.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Pleasure, as always.
Oh, thanks, man. You got some. I brought, and we'll show them later. I brought some of your pictures in from Twitter working on your Titans because
All right.
I actually wanted to hear more about the game too.
Yeah, no worries. That's not a problem. I love talking about Titanicus, so that's just such a
That's
fun
good.
game to play.
And today, this picture is from, this is, I believe it was the one Ben Bailey online. Kyrian Plastic, someone who follows me, he alerted me to this picture. And I always loved, these are like the classic cover pose of like a whole bunch of Marines in a pile, either they're like shooting or like this one, a lot of them are dead. But he happened to show me his picture, and I always loved the concept when I used to play more of leaving the units when they died. We'd put them on their side, and then I always wanted to do in my Necromunda gang. I wanted to model each one of the units in a fighting pose, and then remodel them again, all in a dead pose. So if they die, you like lay them down there and you leave them on the battlefield. So I was kind of like inspired by that, and I was like, all right, I'll get a live stream in and I'll see if anyone wants to join. And thankfully, when I asked you, you said yes.
Well, as I say, it's short notice, but I'm not doing much at the moment in lockdown, so it's a pleasure to be
Yeah,
back. And yeah, I'll say like with pieces like this, as you say, it does harken back to when you used to play games on the old floor hammer
yeah,
in the kitchen or whatever, where you've killed that dude. All right, he's dead. I'm just going to lay him down, or you blow up a tank and you flip it over because it's not going anywhere. It's dead. It's
yeah.
staying there. But yeah, this is such well. That's a lot of dead marine there.
I know,
that he's
I
standing
know.
on
And I
top
was
of.
like, that's pretty crazy. And I saw that picture. I was like, I don't, I'm sure it's been out there, but I never remember seeing one like with a pile like this. So I was like, all right, I cleaned it up already, so I don't have to erase around it. And
Hmm.
just for anyone who's like into the process, so the first color I slapped down, I just threw down a color behind it as I was erasing so that I could see the edges good. And I usually throw down something I think will be pretty close. Because this was a cool blue tealish metallic color, I wanted to go something kind of warm. So at first I just threw this color down, and then I adjusted it because it was too orangish yellowish. So I turned it more brown, and I desaturated it some. And then I put a little shaded layer over it. Actually, I put probably this one over it. So I put shaded layer over it, like on multiply, to kind of tint it. And then on an overlay, I kind of bring out some highlights because I want to start highlighting the pile the right way and bringing light to it. So once I started this process, I was like, well, I got an idea of what I'm going to do. So I will probably bring it in stream. And I have another layer set on multiply. And right now, this comes out really dark, but I plan on erasing a lot of it and bringing it back light so you can see it more. So that's kind of the step I'm at right now.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's good to be prepared, and especially after our last one, where getting rid of the lines around the
It's
edge.
like a half hour of erasing.
Yeah, it's a learning process. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Oh, wait,
But
let
no,
me
this is
check. All right,
looking really good so far. As you say, the lighting that you've got, the reflection off the shoulder pauldrons and everything. It's just
yeah.
already it's looking
I
top.
want to get that pile rounded, and I think I'm gonna, I gotta light him up more and everything so he reads central. But I was digging it, and then, I just see him like in a, I don't know what's gonna be going on, some kind of like that, like misty fog, so it'll be kind of like floating around the pile of bodies, and he's on top of it, type of thing. So I
Mm.
figured I would work on that, and we could talk some about Titanicus and 40K and stuff.
Yeah, no worries at all.
And after talking to you like last time, I was like, man, and having a few guests, I was so out of the loop. I'm like, all right, I need to start reading some of the stuff. I bought I had bought Soulbound before, so it's the RPG for Age of Sigmar,
Mhm.
and I was like, I caught up a little bit through White Dwarf on what was going on in the world, and then I had purchased that just because I always been a fan of like RPG type stuff, and so I read the intro, so it's like a 10-page intro that like kind of fills you in on everything, and it was really cool. I got to give it like credit. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. It, like explained it and does a good job of like drawing you in. So I was like, all right, I
Mm.
start to get a little bit of an idea of what's going on, in that world. So I was like, well, I need to catch up and, listen to a few books of what's going on and read a few things. So that's what I've been doing.
Just seen in the chat, Pascal. Hello, Pascal. Nice to see you
Oh,
again. To be honest, they look more sleeping than dead to me. But it's still a 10 out of 10 marine pile.
yeah.
I like to call it a cuddle puddle.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's some of them because they're hard to pose on that bottom and stuff. That's where I'm going to, bring out the edges and stuff. So, because it's hard to pose those models like perfectly like they're dead, in a big pile. So I'm going to kind of help it along on the bottom. And thanks for making it, Pascal. Appreciate it.
yeah, it's just say we're looking at the way they fall and that. Unless you're going to really sort of go to town with like a hobby saw and really brutalize them, but to get that amount of models looking really really good and then
Yeah.
mangling them into like this pile of bodies, it is
Yeah.
impressive to say the least.
That's what I thought. I'm like, man, you did a lot of work to make a pile of dead bodies.
Hmm. I'm almost like with the chaplain there. It's like I'm retaining the purity of my chapter. I just had a thought like, well, imagine if you was an apothecary standing on top of a pile of bodies. You're going, I've got a lot
Yeah.
of work cut out here.
Yeah, you got your whole like. I know that's what makes me wonder. How did you get to the point of this whole body with pile with the apothecary standing on top? Like that's a pretty grim scene.
Yeah, but it's the grim dark of
Yeah.
the 40th millennium, and it gets messy really quickly.
Things like this happen.
Yeah, every week. Probably more likely to happen with guardsmen, but still.
Oh yeah, I know.
But
Poor
yeah, no, that is.
guardsman. Oh, Leiden Proctor Miniatures. Thanks for joining us.
So it does sort of tell that story, and you can just let your imagination run with it.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing like there are so many talented hobbyists out amongst the community, and you see one piece, and it can really sort of light a fire, and you
That's
think,
yes.
give something a go, and and Ben has he's a great painter and hobbyist anyway, and a really decent guy. I've met him only the once up at Warhammer World, and
Okay.
brief exchange, but he's a really good guy, and he's helpful. You can chat to him, like most of the guys up there and girls that are work for like Forge World and Games
Yeah,
Workshop
yeah.
Library and such sort of thing. But when you see their work, because that's the thing, they're hobbyists as well.
Yep.
They're not just there to sell us miniatures and
No, they dig
answer
it.
our emails, but they are hobbyists too. And seeing some of their stuff, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I've never been there, but like one day I'll get there.
Yes, you must make a pilgrimage.
Yep.
It is the one thing to visit the Mecca that is Warhammer World. So yeah, Lynn Leiden, it's a friend of mine from the Titan Owners Club.
Oh, good.
Yes, he's a magnificent specimen of manliness and beardiness. But yeah, it's good to see you, mate. And yeah, it's just
Yeah,
popping
thanks for
in,
swinging by.
welcome, say hello, and that. So thank you for coming.
That's kind of I saw you tweeted it before. I think of the Titans Owner Club when you had tweeted it out. I think just in between the last time you were on, and so I
Mm.
was looking at some of those in the tweets, and then I seen a bunch more people start getting more Adeptus Titanicus stuff, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm like,
Uh,
oh boy,
I, I know that I'm responsible for at least 2 Warbringers being bought this week.
yeah,
So where I got tagged, and other people like on Instagram
hmm,
and that, where I'm just doing something that brings me joy and happiness,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a fun hobby, and the models are awesome to paint. This isn't a
Well,
sales pitch, by the
yeah,
way, but
that's it too. It's all the
it's
Titans. It's like one of the iconic models of the whole 40K universe, and it's like all them.
oh, absolutely. And having your own, even like I know people that have just bought one just
Yeah,
to have, you
yeah,
know, and
absolutely.
oh, that is looking good. Even
We're gonna get this a little lit up because I want to light him first and kind of get some going on, and then kind of do the pile because the pile should be a little more subdued. You know what I mean? And I
Mm.
just want to highlight and shadow some of that. So I was like, this one will be kind of like slow and noodly, but I think it'll make a good paint over when I play with it. So we'll see. Excellent model though.
No, I've actually, well, that's a problem because I have a couple of Primaris armies,
Mm-hmm.
and the chaplain. I've got a couple of these, and they just look so nasty and mean, and like, yeah, I'm gonna preach you the imperial truth, and then
Yeah.
smash you over the head if you misbehave.
Yeah.
Um,
Straighten you out.
yeah.
Pascal says he's planning to buy the Titanicus starter set because of you, Lee. So you're
As as I said to my friends the other day when they were saying I'm buying Titan sort of thing, I've got very broad shoulders. I'll accept responsibility for you investing in Titans
yeah,
because they are awesome. They
you're
really are.
oh, that's
I'll
gonna
never say a
blow up.
bad word against a Titan.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was catching up. I think like first, like when it first came out, they said it was called Space Marine, right? I remember the old box set,
Yeah.
and then what was it? Like, wasn't there like an expansion, Adeptus Titanicus? Was that how it went?
Well, no, it's the other way round. First, it was Adeptus Titanicus,
Okay.
and then you got a supplement which was Codex Titanicus, which
Okay.
sort of started to introduce sort of tanks and infantry. And then the box set they brought out for the infantry was Space Marine, um,
Okay. Okay.
which I can still remember buying that. I was actually, I think I mentioned I was working in a toy shop when I
Okay.
was like a teenager. And no, I had been working in a toy shop. I'd started another job. And with my first paycheck I got from that job, I went to my old place of employ and bought
Yeah.
a whole load of like Space Marine and some Titans and vehicles for it. Um, so yeah,
That's funny.
all my money went straight into Games Workshop products.
And so now, how close is this game to that game?
Well, Space Marine was different, and because obviously including tanks and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so
Okay. So good. This
there
one
is
just focuses
there
on the
are
Titans then.
differences. Yeah,
Okay.
there are differences. Like the rules are slightly different to
Okay.
how it would play in the old style. Um, with the new one, we've got like your different orders you can issue to your Titans. You've got all the different mana pools as
Okay.
well, because originally in the Adeptus Titanicus you got 6 plastic Warlord Titans,
Yeah.
3 red, 3 blue,
Oh, that's
with like a
right.
different head, basically, and that was about it. So you build up your points level and say, oh, I can have a
Yeah.
couple of Titans and what have you with you. But in this new edition, the AT18, as it's sort of known, is you've got a lot more variety within the game. So it's not just managing your Titans, because you've got to keep on top of your reactor. You got like repair rolls to make, and even in a repair roll, you could actually blow up if you because if you're not paying attention to your reactor and you're running hot, that has a negative, and you could go pop, which it's funny when it happens,
but not to you.
Not to you, no, because normally your Titans are all around each other in some cases, because some mana pools benefit by having closer proximity together.
Okay.
So, but when one goes up, you are always hoping for a low roll on a like a D10, because like the first two is basically it just stands there, it just goes silent, it just it's dead and it's just locked in place. And that's probably the best result if you have that for your Titans. But they go all the way up in different magnitudes, where some will like the wildfire, where basically your weapons are cooking off. And you get to fire your weapons at the nearest available target, stagger around, then fall over. So there's lots of ways you can do damage to other things around you by doing that. And then you get like magazine explosions and then meltdown, which is never good. Yeah, but it's funny. It's one of the only games I've played where the loss of a Titan, as normally you would go, oh no, I've lost my favorite unit or something. But in this, you could blow up, and it could actually be beneficial to you to blow up by
you take someone else out.
So it's horrific and funny at the same time. We actually had an incident at because with the Titans Owners Club we do the 40k scale Titans, and we do 8 rules. So we had a huge battle, and
cool.
Matt Wingrove, who's like one of the head guys in the Titans Owners Club, he's got some beautifully painted Legio Mortis Titans, and they're all standing there, mind their own business, and we were sort of concentrating fire on his Warbringer, and he took a lot of shots. He handled it well, but when it came to the repair roll, his reactor was really hot. He made his roll, and it basically went into meltdown. So it blew up, and then it took out.
It's got to be tough if you're in you made it through, and then you're in the repair phase, and it blows up.
Yeah, that's the thing. The repair roll. I've known 2 incidents where repair rolls have killed you, because if your reactor's too hot, it's like you can't just keep the balance right. You're struggling. You make a bad roll, and then you plugged the red socket into the blue socket, and you're gone. But yeah, his chain reaction took out another 2 or 3 Titans.
Oh, really? So, I didn't know it could take out like that. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, yes. Blowing up Titans is...
All right, so they make it dramatic then. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you say you've got... in front of us at the time, there was the Warbringer, there was a Warlord, there was a couple of Warhounds and a Reaver, and in close proximity. After there was only the Warlord standing there. And he was damaged as well. But yeah, it was just like, a concussive effect, because one goes up, and then because that one's blown up, you got to do the same with that. See if that blows up. And so just chain reaction. So they lost several Titans. There is actually a photograph of the loyalist princeps laughing at him. And we voted him the MVP.
With a play like that, he took out he did some damage.
Yeah, but it is such a fun sort of game to be part of, and there are once the lockdowns stop and COVID is sort of
Yeah.
gotten under control and people can start playing games again, I'm sure there's going to be a whole load of people.
Oh, that's
Um,
what I thought. Everyone's going to kind of cut loose for a while playing some games. And like, especially they've been painting all their miniatures all cooped up, and then you get free and they'll be like, woohoo, show them all off and play some games.
yeah, they're big time. It's like at home, I get to play a little bit of 40k with the boy,
Okay.
and we were thinking about starting in the ninth edition. You got Crusade, which is a
Okay.
very sort of narrative driven type campaign.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've still got to read up on the ins and outs of
Yeah.
that, how to best use it in game. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting out and meeting up with some friends and letting loose
Mhm.
with some Titans.
Yeah, that'll make for some good games, I'm sure.
So I'm just taking a moment to have a look at yeah. So just looking at that. So I'm just what you're doing. Say getting that sort of the reflections off the armor. I'm still really sort of taken with that. How it's all looking at
Yeah,
present.
I want to get it to one of those paintings, so you got to do the highlights and basically he already had them a lot highlighted on there. So then I just try to you're trying to add that atmosphere, and then you kind of bring back what you took away. You know what I mean? Like if I put a darker layer over it, I kind
Mm,
of look where he had all his highlights and kind of bring that back and accentuate because I want the pile to like how in the books the pile kind of like recedes into the picture type deal. So I'm trying to get
yeah.
that edge lighting and stuff right. I want to get some like orange sparks, like their armor of the dead guys are like sparking and stuff. So I want to try to get a few things in there. Put a little lights maybe on the bottom of the pile or something. I'll figure it out.
Mm. Well, it says like what you've done there at the bottom with like the smoking, like the dust sort of creeping
Yeah,
over the bodies. That's really effective.
yeah, that's what
Uh,
I want to get for that. I did. All right, I want to try something. So I yesterday, well, if someone watched the live stream yesterday, I had a White Dwarf article with me, and it was issue 115, and I talked about the winner of the Golden Demon Award that year. And so this
oh,
picture, that top model is probably kind of hard to see in here, but that's the winner of the Golden Demon in 1989. So I
mm,
was like, oh, I got it in the magazine. I hope this isn't like some YouTube strike where you put a picture of a magazine up there and they shut your channel down. But yeah,
oh,
that
that should be
it was like
fine. You can't read it, so
I know. Yeah,
um,
I know. I was like, oh, I'll put it up there. I might have to bring a bigger picture in, but I wanted to be able to bring that up just to show them that it was like a crazy conversion up at top of a chariot.
yeah.
And then that same issue, I didn't know it. It was 1989. Paul Bonner, like he joined the studio, and they like that was the issue where it was announced that he came in. And I was like, man,
Mm.
his orcs were like the coolest things ever. I
I
loved
always used to love those little sort of like the
it.
sketches and artwork you'd get in White Dwarfs sort of
Yeah,
thing.
oh yeah,
Um,
that's my favorite stuff too. All the little, just the corner illustrations and the little
mm.
pictures and the blurbs and everything.
Yeah, it's like the stuff for like John Blanche and Wayne England,
Yeah,
for example. What
it
there
was
were.
always called like back then they called the page like Illuminations or whatever.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
It's like they were taking slices out of like life within the
yeah.
different universes, sort of thing. Which again, it sort of all helps with the imagination of the person looking at it. To
That's what I found out, and I love that because it is what when I was especially younger, it's what triggers your imagination. It was just those short blurbs, and you wouldn't get anything else, so you're kind of like trying to fill it in your mind. You're like, oh, what
mm.
could have that been? So it was always like exciting for that. We're gonna bring you there. We can have you a little bigger.
Scary. But yeah,
No,
no,
you got a
the
good setup for there. I like yours. You got the books behind you and everything. It's cool. I'm like, all right, it's a good background for it.
yeah, this is my girlfriend Sam's office, where she does her counselling and therapy. So obviously that's why you've got these like psychology books and
You're not
stuff.
supposed to
It's
tell anyone.
not,
He's like, this is
not
my
mine.
personal library.
I'm adjourning to the study.
Yes, exactly.
His little
Every
pipe.
evening.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of like books in there that she reads as well. Because most of the time, when people go into sort of like an office like that, you don't really look at what's on the shelves. So there's whole sorts.
Are you sneaking 40K rule books in there? You're like push one in there.
I did. I was asked to do a reaction video for when they was doing the dropping of Ninth and like the Indomitus box set. Sorry, and when I came in, I put a couple of my sort of 40K books up there. You know, Spears of the Emperor was up there. You know, had some of my like heresy books just facing on. So it just like like oh look, I got stuff there. I'm an official sort of hobbyist. But yeah, luckily that wasn't shown anywhere as far as I know, because that was when I watch it back, I go, oh, that was cheesy. Yeah, but it's so I've actually got you on two screens here, so I've got like so I can see what's on chat over that side and the one in front of me, sort of thing, and the contrasts on the screen resolutions. The one on my right is looking like, oh my god, am I looking at the same picture?
Yeah. I noticed that. What I did is, so I'm always seeing these kind of small. I mean, my iPad's like decent enough size. If I zoom in, I still wish they sold a huger iPad. I would buy one that's like I have the biggest one they have, like the 12.9. I wish they had like a 15 by 17 or something huge. But it comes in good here. But then I would watch it sometimes on a different device, and I was like, oh man, what does it look like? And once I put this video, I pulled the video up on a like a 4K TV on YouTube, and I liked it then because you can actually see the brush strokes, what it's doing. You know what I mean? Because it's nice and big and crisp. And so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool on seeing what's going on a big screen.
And so being able to see models is very apparent. I have several friends who have bought like those the headwear with the magnifiers on there. I haven't got to that phase yet myself. Maybe I should.
I was looking into that already before. I was like, you know what, I might want some. I see they have the headgear, and I don't know if it would be annoying on my head, but I also know they have like, it's almost like a huge glorified magnifying glass where you put it in front of you like a sheet. And I was debating maybe that might, do it.
Yeah, there's a whole host of sort of things you can get. Like I did used to have a ring light which had a magnifier in the middle of it, so you can actually look through that and illuminate your model properly.
Yeah.
Which the boy stole, so I didn't actually use it, and it's since been broken. So I've never got around to it. But so having good lighting is always helpful when you're sort of hobbying, in particular. There's been times where, like recently over winter, where I've started painting in the morning on obviously a Titan, and then next minute I've looked up and I've got my little sort of like daylight bulb in my lamp above.
Yeah.
I looked up and everywhere is pitch black. I'm like, oh my god. When did
I had that happen before too, so I know exactly what you're talking about. What I brought on, tell me something about these. You had these on Twitter. This is going to cover you up a second, but what is this model?
Well, this is the Warbringer Titan, the Warbringer Nemesis for Adeptus Titanicus. Now, with that helmet, the head section, you just see where I've done the sort of the lighter colouring there to represent like a skull face.
Yeah.
Now that was it's a sort of a tribute to someone I know, a guy called AD Hartley. He's not on Twitter. He's on Instagram. on there. I'll find his tag up if anyone wanted to follow him. But
Yeah,
he
I'm
painted.
gonna put links. I should put links later. I'll get in the habit of editing the video and put some links in the bottom at YouTube.
Yeah, but he painted a Legio Astorum Warbringer, and he did that same thing with it, and it's just such an impressive looking model by having that little additional feature, because there is a big thing amongst the hobby crowd with Titans in particular, because some people really don't like the head for the Warbringer.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'll admit I wasn't too keen on it initially, but after building sort of like, this is my 7th Warbringer that I've built. Yeah, I know. I really they're very characterful and they look the part for that particular Titan. I know some people do swap out the heads. They either put a Warlord head on there. The head on my Titan that you painted last week, people have been putting that onto Warbringers instead.
Oh, okay.
Although I did say to my friend Lydon, who was in the chat earlier on, I asked him, because he has a lot of 40k Titans. I think it's about 7 or 8, maybe even 10. He's got that many. But I asked him to, because he magnetizes the heads.
And that's I asked perfect. Him, yeah, if you do, yeah.
It makes it easy for storage and everything. But I asked him to swap the Warbringer head for the Reaver Titan head. And when you put it onto a Warbringer, it looks proper, sort of like bulked up and very sort of like hench. It looks like a Wolverine. You know, it's like this beast of a thing is walking towards you. He's going to rip your face off with claws or something. But yeah, as I said, with this particular head, I don't mind it at all now. They are bringing out a beta class head, which is slightly different, which has had a lot of people saying, "Oh, I prefer that better." But both of them are really awesome. And when you do something like this, just to add that little feature to it, it makes it look totally different.
And it's especially on those, because it's such a key feature. It's the same with the weapons. You know what I mean? If you get, what are so in this picture, I see the weapon. What are those weapons?
Right. So the triple barreled thing is the Las Blaster. So that's similar to what my Warlord that you painted had on its shoulders.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
So it's a good medium to long range weapon, although you are penalized at long range. The one on the other side is everybody's favorite, the Volcano Cannon, which is like the Mac Daddy weapon of Master of Destruction trademark. It's basically just firing like devastation at anything. It's going to destroy you, literally. Gotcha. Such an awesome weapon. Unfortunately, it does have a weapon on its back, which is a Quake cannon, which, well, they're actually one of my favorite weapon systems, because it's the one that makes if you remove your enemy's shields and you get hit by a Quake weapon, it then makes you move. So it's like the concussive force of the round. The round is so devastating. It may not, be the most armor piercing of weapons.
No, but it shoves you back, type deal.
Yeah, it can shove you back. It can turn you left, turn you right, and when that happens, you've got to get back into position. Or your enemy can take advantage of the fact that you're facing the wrong way, and get extra bonus to their armor rolls. But it's such a great little Titan, and I've only played with one in an army once so far, and I was actually surprised, because until you actually get one of these units out on the battlefield and play with it, you've got no real frame of reference of how well it's going to do. And it was a lot tougher than I expected. And, it took a lot of, shots at it, and, it sort of like just shrugged them off, turned around, shot back. But it was a real sort of eye-opening experience. So since that moment, I thought, I think I'll get a couple more of them, mix them in with my other forces. But yeah, it's a lovely little kit, and as I say, all the model kits they have for the AT range are really easy to build and to work with.
Oh, wait. Martin the Great Potato Man said, not only do I have the angle pose ring light with the magnifying lens in the middle, I also have the wearable magnifiers with an integrated light. So he's ready for war with that setup.
So Martin, do you double up? Do you do you wear the glasses and look through?
Yeah, it's legal. Pascal said it's legal for a Warbringer to have 3 Volcano Cannon, but is it morally legal?
A lot of people, again, because you can alternate the weapons loadout on Warbringers and all Titans.
Oh, okay.
The Warbringer has an option for a shoulder-mounted Volcano Cannon, which the ones. So the thing is with the Warbringers, the full name is Warbringer Nemesis.
Okay.
The Nemesis represents the fact that it has a weapon upon it from a higher class Titan.
Oh, so that's kind of like the indication when you hear the Nemesis. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Warbringer Nemesis has the Quake cannon off of a Warlord sitting on its roof, but you can also, well, they haven't made an official kit for a Warbringer Volcano Cannon. Loads of people have made their own version of a Volcano Cannon to sit on the top there. But 3 Volcano Cannons on a Warbringer. Now, the problem you've got, for me, because I like to sort of manage my Titans and try and make them survive longer than possible, is that every time you fire a Volcano Cannon, you have to roll a reactor dice.
Okay, so if you had firing too many, you'd probably end up having bad after effects.
If you had 3 bad rolls, that's 6 reactor pips. So first turn, you're going to be straight in the red in the Warbringer. And yeah, it's getting that heat down, because obviously if you fail your like on the repair rod to check your reactor, it could be very nasty.
Yeah.
By the same token, that's 3 attempts also that you could have the machine spirit awaken, which there's a separate symbol on the die. So you get 1 reactor, 2 reactors, or machine spirit, or nothing. Okay. So one of my friends, the last game we played, reactor dice, and he went on a roll of like no reactor at all. It's like, oh, you get 3 shots now, thanks.
Yeah. Get the lucky dice then.
Yeah, it's that's the thing you got to bear in mind. So yes, you've got 3 really devastating weapon systems there, and you can do a lot of damage, but by the same token, you could kill yourself. Because once you go over the reactor track, you start taking damage. So, and that can have detrimental effects, because, again, you could take quite a few hits to the body. And most people will try to attack the body of a Titan because it's easier to damage. There's more pips to fill, but it's easier to damage. So when you roll your dice, you're adding the strength of the weapon to a D6. So
okay, that's how it works. All right.
Yeah. So like if you're rolling a Warlord's Volcano Cannon, which is strength 12, as long as you're not rolling a 1, because if you roll a 1, it doesn't have any effect. So as long as you don't roll a 1, you're fine. You're going to damage something in most cases. So you're doing like, you roll a 2, that's 14 damage to a location. That's going to do normally going to be even on a Warlord, I think that just comes in at a devastating hit, which is 2 pips. Because you've got direct hit, which is 1 pip, devastating, which is 2, and then you get critical hit, which is 2 pips plus a critical, because you have your armor track, your
Yeah.
structure track, sorry, and then you have 3 extra little pips, which are like your internals, and they have little sort of things on there, like you, if you like hit in the head, you can like wound the Moderati who pilots the thing, or you can even, daze the Princeps as well. So you get negative modifiers to either moving or shooting, etc., because it's reflecting that you've just been shot in the face. You're a
Yeah.
punch drunk. You're not with it, sort of thing. But once you go over those thresholds,
Oh,
you
so
blow up.
Benjamin Bailey stopped in. Well, this is pretty cool. Thanks for stopping in, Benjamin. Appreciate it. Martin the Great Potato Man said, "Just wait till it's finished, Ben. You should have a look." Yeah, thanks, Martin. This thing's coming out cool. It's a great picture. I think I'll get in there and do some stuff and make it blend. But I love the color on these guys. Got that metallic. I don't know. It's like a blue metallic teal. I don't know what's
Oh,
going.
I've actually just seen on Twitter, Ben's just saying it was lead belcher with some
Oh,
Terragon turquoise,
okay.
Terragon turquoise over it, because it's a contrast.
All right. Oh, see, no, okay. That's the one thing. It's cool. Like I do some of these live, and I just people like that. I learn so much. You get the tip on, oh, this person did this, and I learn about the game. So I'm like, huh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you're getting into like the hobby again, like you are, paints have come on a hell of a long
Yeah.
way since you was last in there, because you've got all different types of paints, like your base paints, you got your layers, you got your
Yeah.
textures, you got shades, you got glazes, and you've got the latest ones, which are the contrast paints.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using a lot of contrast paints in a lot of my Adeptus Titanicus models recently.
Okay. Yeah, I can
Um,
see that. I've seen that used before, and it's awesome.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
Benjamin Bailey, feel free to send me a DM if you want. Yep.
it's it does, and something I've only recently, sort of in the last few months, realised about making sure you use the right kind of base paint, or base level to work
Yeah,
from when
yeah.
using contrasts. Because where I was trying to work out a paint scheme, one of a guy called Vincent Notley, who
Oh
is
yeah, I've seen that. Why have I've seen it? Yeah, I've seen that name.
yeah, he does the moderating on the Warhammer community chats when they
Oh,
go
okay,
live.
okay. That's probably where.
And I was asking a question about what Legio I should do next for my current
Yep.
project, and he sort of piped in and said, "Oh, you should do the Legio Fortidus, because I want to do that. Plus, I want to see how you come up with the paint scheme for it." So I was like, "Okay, so I'm working out the paint scheme for you. No worries." So
What's
I done several sort of testers. And my normal, like Ben's done with these, where he's used a lead belcher base and then he's just applied the contrast over it. That was my first go-to, using Griffhound Orange.
Benjamin said,
Or
I find it awesome that you are working on this when it was just a whip. Ah, this is the one I seen. I didn't even know there was a finished one. I would have taken that. This thing is incredible, by the way. Cool pile. I've never seen like I was telling him earlier that when I used to play, I love the idea of when the models died, we'd leave them on the battlefield. And I talked about it earlier, and then someone had tagged me to this picture, and I was just like, oh yeah, like I gotta try. It's like this huge. I haven't done a paint over on like the big classic pile of bodies. So cool model. Simone, is it Simone? Simeone?
Samione, that's my
Simeone?
other half.
Oh, right
Hello.
on. Thanks for joining us.
And Scott Charnick is one of my brothers from another mother.
Gotcha.
So hello, Scott, as well. Um, but yeah, it's yeah. So obviously, with using the different sort of paints. So where Ben's used the lead belcher here, and then the Pterodon turquoise over it, with the Legio Fortidus, I tried that, and it made the orange look brown, which
Okay.
I thought, oh, not it's good. You know, when you look, I'm using the pictures for reference as well, so I'm like
Yeah.
putting them up next to each other and just like not quite. And I ended up using Gold Crusher brass, which is a very goldy sort of color. Put that down over the lead belcher, and
Oh.
then used the Griffhound orange, and it was there. It was perfect. I gave it a wash with Fugan orange afterwards, just to
Oh,
give it a little bit more orangeness.
I did not know that. He said, so Benjamin Bailey said, oh, this was a batch painted group. I batch painted all these minis and they now all have bases of their own. I didn't know that was the case. So you literally like piled a bunch of them on there and just took this picture. That's crazy. That's
And,
funny.
and now it's just
I
an
did not know
awesome
that. I thought
like.
he was like making something with this. That's even better that they all now have their own base. That's hilarious.
Yeah, well, to be fair, when I was looking. That's what I said to you about. Like, unless he was going to go at it with a hobby saw.
Yeah, because he had some legs sticking up and whatever. But I'm like, I can, I have the advantage of being able to put like some shadow and stuff over it. So I was like, oh, I can see it working. You know what I mean? I'll make it look more, blended in. That's funny.
There's Martin the Great Potato Mage saying that the Jade Paladins showing the aftermath of the classic Crimson Fist pile formation. Yeah, they're just they're in a game of American football or rugby,
Yeah.
and obviously the chaplain has come out on top, going, "You're all fools.
Yeah.
You're playing the game wrong."
Scott Charnick, thank you for joining and checking it out. Appreciate it. I did. So one thing, I have some coming up from a few people. So when I stream like this, I have this space on the left usually, and I'm like, there's a couple people where I'm getting a little ads, like smaller people like me, like commission artists and stuff. And I love this space because it reminds me in the White Dwarf of the old, like the sidebar with the little ads and stuff in it. So I want to get, and it's literally, I'm like, most of the times I would hate having ads, but I'm like, hey, this is kind of like reminds me of White Dwarf type stuff. So I was like, contacting a few people and then so I'll get like a couple like ads just for stuff like that. Cause like, I'll use the space and it might be kind of cool.
Well, as you say, those sidebars in White Dwarf were some of the best things ever.
Absolutely.
You got such great information out of those little sidebars. And to be fair, like when I was getting when I get my sort of Horus Heresy black books
Yeah.
Throughout, I'd always read the sidebars first.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
see what sort of secret knowledge might be gleaned from them. But yeah, as I say, these harkens back to those White Dwarfs, the little sidebars. There's, as I say, there's so much stuff found in them.
Tidbits.
Sort of it.
Gosh, and I had you, and I was like, I want to know more about Titanicus, and then I was like painting this over, so I'm like, I'll invite you on, and I'm like, oh no, you keep talking about it. I keep like, because I used to play the old BattleTech way back in the day, so you know what I mean. Yeah. Just it's different than the smaller scale, because the smaller scale you lose a unit. This you're taking damage and slowly getting wore down. You know what I mean? So it's like a different kind of play out, and I like that kind of effect too.
Yeah, it's there's actually quite a few people that I know are actually doing BattleTech little armies and stuff. I actually last night I commented on someone who had done a retweet with their sort of collection. It was showing the old original models, and I believe they've probably got some like 3D printed ones, and like, they look a little bit bigger, more sort of chunkier, and a lot nearer to like the artwork in some respects that you see, like like a Mad Cat or four, a couple of fours in there, vultures, etc. And he was doing I believe it was Clan Wolf in Exile force. So I just replied with the Ghost Bears sigil because I'm a Ghost Bear, saying hi. I'm a Ghost Bear. I can see you. But yeah, I loved all anything mecha, sort of like BattleTech was awesome. Like even like the old Robotech Cross sort of stuff.
I love the animation of that back in the day, the hand drawn stuff. That
Oh
was
yeah,
something
so
new.
like and all like my sort of earlier sort of times coming into watching sort of anime, with like like Appleseed,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Meat
that was me
Tank
too. Appleseed, like Akira. Yeah,
Yeah. But my,
Ghost in
my
the
favorite
Shell.
was Bubblegum Crisis. I absolutely loved Bubblegum Crisis because it was
Yeah,
like ripping off, well, not ripping off, paying hot homage to Blade Runner.
yeah,
Even had a character named Priss. But I loved all of that. The first season they did of that was one of my favorite. Sort of like it had you had like the hard suits, personal body armor, but then you had like boomers and
yeah.
sort of big neck action going on as well, which was always great. And that's how it was easy for me to get into sort of games like Adeptus Titanicus and BattleTech, because big fighty robots, what's not to
Yeah,
love?
yeah.
Um, they look
That is
fantastic.
that's
Kick
what I think they
butt.
did an excellent job of in like 40K is because so they give you something to play that's like big robots. They give you something like Necromunda that's like small little gangs of like tactical stuff. They give you something that's like the big armies with 40K. They give you they gave you your options as far as like what kind of actual like gameplay you might like with them. So that was
Hmm.
always a good thing.
Well,
I used to play.
you
I
also
played the what was the old ship combat game? I wonder if I even have some
the
of those.
Man of War, Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah, like the old Man of War like box set. I got that one with the ships. That was pretty fun.
There was funnily enough, I was talking with my friends on a hobby hangout recently,
Hmm.
um, and one of my friends who used to work for Games Workshop back in the sort of those early days
Yeah,
has this story about when they brought out Man of War. One of the I think it was one of the Parrys, who were like the Parry brothers who used to sort of do the sculpting and designing and that.
yeah,
They were given a sort of a job sheet to do some like monsters for it, like a kraken and a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
megalodon. And he done this meeting where he was told like, oh, I want you to do like some monsters, anglerfish, megalodon, blah blah blah. And he went off, and then he came back literally like half an hour later. He said, "Oh, I've done one." He went, "Already?" I said, yeah, I've done one. And he basically made a shark fin.
yeah,
So there's a little token of a shark fin.
yeah. That's
There's a megalodon. And they go, no, we want it like coming out of the water.
yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, because you
Yeah,
had just the fin sticking up for the
yeah.
yeah.
But you think, oh yeah, that is,
Got it.
I don't. It's just one of those things that you just think that's great. That's just like genius.
Yeah.
What's it? Pascal, love whenever you're around. The conversation always moves to Titans without foul. Yeah, sorry. I am probably known. Well, I am known for my love of an addiction to Titans. It was fun. It was actually funny. I posted up Twitter last night about I was going to be doing this Crusade game, and I'll be fielding my Emperor's Spears
Yeah.
for it. And a guy's commented and's gone, "Wait, that's not Titans." Our local painter, his name was. Yeah, he's gone, "That's not Titans." He's like, "What's going on here?"
What's wrong?
Where's Lee gone? Who's
Yeah.
kidnapped you? Who are you? But yeah, it's I do have other models. I do apologize. It's not 100% Titan content. I do try. I am very
Yeah, no,
trying at
whatever
doing more.
it's like go with the flow, whatever you're into, and you know what I mean. It's like that's all. That's 40Ks you get is all those things. So whatever. And I mean, especially with doing this, I don't. I just have people on it. We talk about whatever we like, so it's all good for me.
That's the thing. It's like we've well, from 8th edition when they first brought in the Primaris Marines. Now I've got various Marine armies.
Yeah,
I've got a full company strength of Raptors, which I collected from about 2005, 2006 time. So you got 100 Marines plus extras, tanks,
yeah, yeah,
aircraft, and everything. But when they brought out Primaris, I absolutely love the models. They're easier to paint because of their size, and when you place them down against like an Imperial Guardsman or an Aldari or a Tau or a Gene Stealer or anything, you can see the height difference, and you go, "Yeah, I can understand why these guys are, post-human, transhuman,
Yeah.
super dudes with all their armor and gyrojet type or weaponry that just blows things to pieces." It's they really do look the part. I mean, it's I haven't painted a additional well, technically I haven't painted a small marine for 40k. I've painted a few for 30k because my project, my Emperor's Children army that I'm working on, as well, it's a sort of an arms race I've got with Andy Hoare, because he corrupted me by telling me how he painted his Emperor's Children, and I've always liked Emperor's Children, and because his scheme was so easy to replicate, I was able to quickly paint through a vast, like, infantry-based army of Emperor's Children, and I just love purple, so it all worked out for me in the end. But I think he's just over 15,000 points of Emperor's Children that he's got.
Wow.
And I'm probably about 14,500 points, but he's been actually doing a lot more hobbying recently. I've been seeing on his Instagram, oh, there's another tactical squad, or there's a breacher squad or something. It's like, oh damn it, he's getting away from me. That white gentleman. But yeah, he's yeah.
So okay, in 30k, I'm assuming it's possible to field a Titan in 30k?
Oh yes.
Okay. Are those Felicity Keen says, "Oh hail, thank you very
hello,
much
Felicity.
for coming in."
Yeah, that's another friend of mine. Hi, Felicity. She asked me to paint a goblin for her once, and I sort of snapped back. No. And she's hated me ever since. Bless her.
Well, I appreciate her stopping by.
But with Heresy, you can field anything you want. If you've got Titans, you can field Titans. You've got super heavy battle tanks, you can field them. It's balanced out better in that system because you're generally fighting against other Marines.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about different. Yeah, I gotcha.
But each army has its own quirks and the way you would go about.
Like, roughly, in your opinion, what would be the size of the game that it would be reasonable to field a Titan, just as far as like an idea of points wise?
Right. Okay. Well, normally there's sort of a couple of ways of doing it. There's a rite of war, which is their formations, and it gives you what you need to choose, and you could field one Titan as long as it's like I think it's about 2,500 points value. Otherwise, if you're doing a normal formation, you've got the cost of the Titan has to be no more than 25% value of the entire army.
Okay, that's what I was wondering how they, what the balance point was. So that gives me an idea of how it would be.
Because if you're fielding, it's called Leviathan, where you can have super heavy Lords of War, as they're called. So you can have one Lord of War as your basic, and then you can have two others, and you're given like a set sort of rules listings for that, how you play your game, sort of thing. And you can have additional like infantry units as a separate entity to the army.
Yeah.
But it's generally you're fielding just like one Titan in most, especially small point games. But if you're going for a real big game, because that's the thing with Heresy is basically epic. but with
Okay,
28
so
mil.
it did. Okay, I didn't know that. I never played 30K. I love that's probably my favorite look is like the 30K type stuff, but I never played it. So I was
Mm.
wondering, it is in general, it's typically like a larger scale than a normal 40K game, you would say?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
a lot bigger. Yeah, I think 2,000 points is like most people's go to for just a quick game.
Yeah.
Um, I've been in bigger games than that because at the end of the day, you want to play with those models that you've bought, especially like
Absolutely.
stuff. Um, but I'll be honest with you, there's one of the things that with myself and Andy, when we do play, we do like to and prefer to sort of do the heavy infantry, loads and loads of
Yep.
infantry just running into each other and
Oh yeah, the
beating.
mad clashes. Yeah.
Oh, it's thematic, and it reminds you of the artwork that you see in like the front covers of books
Yeah,
within.
absolutely. No, that's how I like. Yeah, I want to play those games. You know what I mean? Where you see it. And what Pascal said, I should have known I would be drawn to Titans once I start looking more into the Forge World dreadnoughts. Oh yeah, see, Forge World with their stuff. Trust me, I since I haven't painted anything, I don't want to order, but I probably will be. That's how they get you with the mechs, then knights, then Titans. Yeah, the knights. Something about the knights was really just the design of them. I really love those. So that was like the first one. Like I want to get one of those knights. So I'm probably going to end up with one sooner than I probably would paint it. But
Yeah, no, knights are really really awesome. When they were released, because there was a book that Graham McNeil wrote called Mechanicum for the
okay,
Heresy, which is all about the Martian Civil War and how
wait, what's the name of that book?
Mechanicum.
Okay, I might have to get that one. That would be something I'm interested. I did that Balserius Call book, and this one I was looking for maybe another Mechanicum, and I might get that one because that sounds like
Yeah,
something.
it's all set on Mars, and it's basically because the Martian Civil War, which was also known as like the Death of Innocence,
Yeah,
uh, because all the technology that had been acquired gets lost because of
yeah,
royalists and traitors are just attacking each other, and nukes are going off, and
yeah.
titans are facing off against each other. Like some of the main protagonists in there are the Knights of Taranis,
Okay.
which is my night house that I belong to, because they are that noble steed and a knight, going along, patrolling their sort of domains, and then
Yeah,
everything goes to pot and ruin. And but there's also like another little sub story going on as well. Um, but it's just it's a really really interesting book to see Mars come to the fore, because I think we had about 6 books beforehand, which were all obviously dealing with the start of the heresy. So it's all
yeah,
Marines, and then you get to Mechanicum, and you've just seen how Mars is in the sort of 30,000 millennium or 30th millennium, and all the stuff that they do, the technology they've got there, and he's a really I love it. He is one of my favorite sort
yeah.
of books out of the series.
Let's see. So Martin says yes, Mechanicum. So I'm sure he likes it. It also kind of partners up with the Dan Abnett book Titanicus. Good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Titanicus is set in the 40k era, but there is a connection because
Yeah.
the main loyalist Legio, Titan Legio in Mechanicum, um, is they're descended from them,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Um,
So you can see
so
how it plays out later, kind of deal.
yeah, sort of. Yeah, it's on another planet. They've got another sort of Forge World holding called
Yeah.
Orestes, and it's tied in because Dan Abnett done a book series, Gaunt's Ghosts,
Yeah.
um, and there's like loads of books. They're all tied into this one, the Sabbat Worlds campaign. So like you've got the main sort of connection, which is Gaunt's Ghosts,
Yeah.
and you have some like little books where like about fighter squadrons. Like Double Eagle, I think it is that one, and Titanicus is loosely connected because the planet that the Legio Tempestus, which is the Legio from Mechanicum that is in Titanicus. They're being besieged by some Chaos Titans and armies, and they put a request out to another Titan Legio to come and aid them. And it's this other Legio that was en route to the Sabbat worlds to participate in operations there. And so they swing by and get involved in what's going on there, basically, without trying to spoil or give away spoilers.
Yeah,
as Martin says in the chat there, Double Eagle is amazing. There's so much great sort of literature out there tied in with Heresy, 40k, AOS, and you really do get a good feel for the whole sort of universe by reading these or listening to them on like Audible. But yeah, it's Pascal is doing some writing lore for his homebrew night house.
Well done. I would always. That's where that's where my head always goes. It's like, I'd homebrew everything, like homebrew this and homebrew that.
Well, there's no restrictions there, is there?
No,
really?
That's what I always feel like. I'm like, they did that so right because I just like that creative aspect. It's like, I would take this and then do a little bit of add on this to it or that, and you can just take it in whatever direction you want.
Exactly. It's it helps you sort of exercise your creativity even more. It's all well and good, participating in a hobby where you paint and it's like with my Titans, I name all my Titans. So
that's so awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And it's like that the one you showed earlier on, which was I was just looking at it and a name just came that one, yes. He's Gorgon Ventura.
Okay.
Now I don't know if that actually means anything. It was just basically I looked at it and that was the name that sort of came into my head, and I thought, yeah, that fits, that suits it. It's like it has that sort of sound of menace to it. So Gorgon Ventura.
That's what Benjamin Bailey just said. These are my homebrew. I was wondering. I went the name and then I looked at your tweet and I saw it was Jade Paladins. I was like, okay. I'm like, that's cool that you have your homebrew.
Because that's because sometimes you generally do have like your favorite sort of chapters that the GW use sort of thing, but sometimes you just think I don't want to do them. I want to do something different and experiment and just run with it. And
because you may have a color scheme or just a theme you may want to try out or whatever.
Yeah, you might like the fluff of like the Ultramarines, but you might hate blue, so you go somewhere else. Or you say, I would assume, Ben, with your Jade Paladins, again, assuming because of the shoulder pads with the fists insignia, that they are a successor chapter to the Imperial Fists. If they're not, doesn't matter. It's your homebrew. You do what you want. But that's what I'm assuming by seeing the shoulder pads with them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Scott, it is a rather nice looking chapter. I think you could pull that off if you wanted to. He's got great experience with that sort of like tealy green colors because I
really like that color. I don't know, it just looks so rich to me, and it's got I don't know, it's just some interesting color to me.
Now, as I say, Scott's been painting up the Sons of Horus for several years. Well, since the start of the Heresy.
Really?
Sons of Horus. He's also doing Blood Angels as well because he does love Sanguinius and his beautiful wings.
Yeah.
But it was fun enough when the Heresy was all starting out. There was me, Scott, friend Jim, and my friend Mike, and we were all going, okay, so who are you going to do? Who are you going to do?
You're like get together so you can plan out your
Sons of Horus and do Sons of Horus. I don't care. I'm doing Sons of Horus. So you go, okay. And then we all sort of decided. I actually decided on doing Death Guard, and I painted one mini for it, and because I'm a bit of a fluff player,
Yep.
and because with some of their characters, well, their units, you couldn't have, because I wanted to be a loyalist Death Guard.
Yep.
And some of their really cool units, like the what's it, Death Wardens, I think they're called. I can't remember. They have these really big scythe weapons, Terminators with
Oh
scythe.
yeah, I've seen. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I know which ones you mean.
yeah, that's kind of bugged me now. Anyway, but because you couldn't have them with loyalists, Death Shroud Terminators. Thematically, it didn't work, so I didn't go no further. Just one Space Marine.
Benjamin Bailey said they are, as far as they know, that they're a secession chapter.
Yeah, that's the thing with 40k. Nobody knows who their ancestry is, really, sort of thing. It's just like, I could be an Imperial Fist. I don't know.
Yeah. And they always have like the 2 missing chapters. So I'm like, you can always chalk it up down there somewhere.
So Scott just replying, angelic pinions are so hot right now. Yeah, Death Shroud, yeah. Oh, delicious subtle hints of potential heresy there as well. Ooh, from Martin. And then Pascal was going, a thing I like is to look at the household traits and warlord traits, pick some, and then work out how to give the backstory to it as well. That's that is a good way of going about things, to be fair. With one of my Titan Legios, I'm doing them as black shields. So they're of questionable loyalty. They could be traitor, they could be loyalists. You don't know. They're basically, with doing them like that, it allows me to either use the Titan creation rules in Defense at Riser, where they've done the updated Titan creation rules, or you could basically just simply choose a rule set that you like the look of and just say, yeah, these worth Legio Mortis, and they don't like what you're doing. So it gives you that sort of whole option to sort of just take something, use it, and run with it, basically. And then, just build the Titans and Knights and just go from there. Find a scheme.
Check it out. Wait, Benjamin put a little bit of his lore in there. He says, they were originally of an unknown origin. Then an inquisitor said they found a capsule listing their origin, and it was listed as fists. So they adopted the sigil and devoted themselves. Interesting. So they kind of didn't even know. That's interesting.
Yeah, so there's like that they had the whole thing where they might have had a sigil already, and then like Inquisitor goes, "Hey guys, it says here that you are descended from the Sons of Dawn. That's pretty cool." And they go, "All right, yeah, we like that. We don't like the symbol we've got.
Let's take that and run.
Let's take that. Yeah, we'll put that instead. Yeah, I like the mailed fist. I don't like the banana on the side here.
Yeah, I'll go for whichever one has the better logo."
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely the mailed fist is 110. That's the thing. You look at some of the sigils that and like on the decal sheets, and you just look at it and go, maybe not. And you just look at the fist and go, I like the fist says it all, really. I'm going to punch you. Yeah, and that, again, that's something with the Black Library series for the Horus Heresy, and now the Siege of Terror, because there's been obviously for all the years it's been running now. You had like the Imperial Fist. Oh, what they doing? They're just sitting on Terror, just twiddling their thumbs, building walls. But in the last few books of the Heresy series, and now into the Siege of Terror series, you are actually seeing just how awesome the Imperial Fists.
Yeah, they're getting their due because they always just have them sitting. Yeah.
When you had like scenes in like some of the earlier books and sort of like novellas where you've got like Dawn talking to Malchador the Sigillite about, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. Oh, and you're just going, oh, just do something already, Dawn. Just don't stand there.
Yeah.
Go and beat something up. But as it comes down to the end game, you are really seeing Dawn for what he is. And it's credit to the authors that Black Library have, to be honest, because there's been several instances where I've read something that one of the guys has written, and it's totally changed my perception of Allegio.
Oh yeah, that can totally happen when especially if it's like a good scene that you really like, or just a perspective you haven't thought of, and it tweaks your, how you feel about that character for sure.
It's like the White Scars, again, very mysterious legion in the Heresy. You weren't quite sure what was going on, but Chris Raitt got hold of them, and he wrote several really great books. Sons of Brotherhood of the Storm, Scars, and Pathway to Heaven, the Path of Heaven.
Gotcha.
Which totally changes your outlook to how the White Scars operate and go about their business. And so many people off the back of those books have just started doing White Scars armies.
Yeah.
Because
because I remember, like, for seeing it for a while, it seems like White Scars like gained a lot of like popularity or whatever, at least compared to a while ago. So that was kind of good to see.
Well, it was like I was telling you last week about the Emperor's Spears. At 1 minute there's not a lot happening. Book comes out, people realize just how awesome the book is, and my God, I want to do Emperor Spears army. And now you see him all over the place, which is not a bad thing.
No, wait. So where was I? I did an Emperor Spears paintover. I gotta find. Oh wait, right. This is Emperor Spears, right?
That's one of his druids, yeah.
Yeah, that one was a cool one. Oh yeah, the Emperor Spears. That's what it was. The druids.
Yeah, the druids are unique because they don't have in the Emperor Spears. They don't have apothecaries.
Okay.
But what they do have is obviously chaplains, librarians, tech marines, and they're all trained as apothecaries.
Okay.
So they don't have a dedicated, apothecary as such.
Yeah,
but
they just
they
have
carry the light
cross trained or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so Ben was just writing here. Yeah, so the original symbol was a knight helmet with crossed swords, which that's cool. That's cool. It's no mailed fist though, is it, Ben? But yeah, no, that's I like that. It's just you say that there's so much you could do in 40k where they go on a mission and they find out, oh, what's it? We're written in this ancient tome here.
You can read.
Yeah, or well, for what they know, they could have been them. They could have been another chapter by the same name, because there have been instances where there are, names mentioned, and you go, well, that can't possibly be them. It must be somebody else because of the timelines. They've only been around for this amount of time. But that's the whole thing about the lore in those sort of it's the Dark Ages, from like the golden age.
It's exactly. It's like some things are just lost to time and all that kind of thing. I've always loved. To me, it's just like I'm not a big
broken it.
Yeah, it cut out, and I want to see if it goes back. Oh, there. I think I got it back. So let's see if that comes back up. If so, that's the first time I've been cut out like that, so it's nice to know I can get back with a button press. So I'm spinning now, I see on the screen. But we should go live here shortly. I think. Yeah, he's still 1 sec. I'm going to let these guys know. I'm going to type in here.
Yeah, we're still getting that. Well, I'm still getting messages, so it's whether or not I've got lag at my end or not on the.
Oh yeah, there we're back. Okay, good. So that was it. I didn't know how this works yet when it drops, but I just plug it, tap it again, and I get back. So that's good to know.
Well, Ben was kind enough to say, "You're here." Thank God for that.
You're here, buddy.
But so yeah, he's also said like he's dropped you a DM on Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
That's right. Pascal. There is an instance where a Blood Angel successor was listed as Ultramarines. Just the idea of it was hilarious. Yeah, there's all that sort of older stuff, because there's always the thing from like pre-Rogue Trader era about the half space elf who joins the Dark Angels as a
Yeah.
librarian and
Oh, I
then
remember. I think
changes to the Ultramarines.
yeah, and I remember like so in was it Realm of Chaos? They used to have like this. Was it Star Child, where like the Emperor would have kids,
Oh yeah, the Star Chart.
or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Sensei? I forget what the name was. What it was.
It's well, the Star Child was like from roughly it's like a prophecy where, because obviously the Emperor is stuck in his throne,
Yeah.
that there's a vessel for him to occupy again and be reborn, which is the Star
Okay.
Child. There was something about him also being popped into sort of like a warp bubble within the warp.
Yeah, I think I heard of that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's sort of like hidden out of the way, which they've used that sort of thing because again, with some of these old lore things, they do sort of recycle and reuse, because
Yep.
the whole thing about the Grey Knights, when they were initially created, was at the end of like the closing part of the heresy, and they put all these marines and personnel onto Titan, the moon of Saturn. They relocated Deimos, the moon of Mars, to Titan. So Titan got a moon, which was a forge moon,
Oh
and
wow.
then Malcador done something where he basically popped it into a warp pocket, and they stayed there in real time. Like it was only like 10, 12 years they were gone. But in warp time, they'd been gone for about 200 years. So when they came back, they were
Okay.
all equipped, built up, and trained to be Grey Knights. And then they went about doing their Grey Knight business of hunting demons and bashing them.
Yeah, I didn't know when the Gray Knights came about, like right off the top of my head, but it was like during the end of the heresy.
Mm. You in James Swallow's the Buried Dagger, which
Yep.
was the last heresy of the heresy series, and then they jumped to the Siege of Terror series. In there, you have a scene where you see who goes off to become the Grand Masters of the Grey Knights, basically. And you know, you go, oh, and oh, that person, oh, I know, I've heard of them. So that sort of sets that sort of essence up. So without telling anything more, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to think careful.
I get
Oh yeah,
this
yeah,
teaser. It's a good.
Butler
You're
did
like
it.
selling product for GW, getting teasers, and I'm like, wait, I want to know.
It's little teasers just to the
Yep,
sake
it
of
works.
the appetite, and maybe you go, oh, I must get that and read that, because
Yep.
um, that's the thing with all the books. You know, they all serve a purpose to tell the story, because that was the thing with the heresy. We all know how it ends.
Yeah, but how'd you
But
get
it's
there?
the getting there is the fun part, and just seeing people's decisions. And like there's been plenty of times when I'm reading one of the books and I'm looking and going, no, don't do that, don't do
No,
that.
don't do it. It's like I can't believe you're going to do that,
Yeah, I know you're going to do it, but don't do it.
but don't do it. Yeah,
But yeah.
so many classical like scenes, and just the lore is so deep now. Like so many different goings ons and everything. It's like I don't know. It's just I just love that about it. That when I first started, I was just like this small little half obscure game, and now it's just massive. They got everything, video games, you name it.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved, and it's just testament to the staff that they have up, like Warhammer World and
For
that.
sure.
All those creative types that turn up and slave away at writing and creating awesome sort of scenarios and stories for us all to enjoy
Yeah.
and utilize for our hobby as well.
Yeah, it takes a lot of people to make all this stuff.
Hmm. I'm sure Ben can have a good go at it. But yeah, he's that is looking really good.
Thanks. It was like I said, when I got it, I was like, oh, I think I can pull it off. And like it's one of those, like I said, where it clicked in my mind. I'm like, I think I can do it. And then I was like, because I'm streaming tomorrow and I wasn't going to stream today. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll do it. And at first I was like, I don't even feel like talking. I'm like, maybe I'll just sit there and not say anything and do it. And then I was like, well, that's boring. I'm like, and I saw you tweet, right? And I was like, well, I'll tweet him. And if he wants to do it, I'm like, I could pick for some lore I wanted to find out and see. So I texted you, and then it's like such short notice. I feel bad. So I was glad you could make it, man.
Yeah, I was just trying to get in the shower and being texted sort of, can you come on and help? Yeah, I can come on. Let's give you a bit of time, dude.
No. Pascal,
No
looking
problem.
amazing. Thank you very much. Benjamin Bailey, this is looking insane. Appreciate it.
Ben, this is like, even though yours was only a work in progress, this is just awesome. This is definitely going to have to be printed up and displayed somewhere.
The Jade Paladins body pile. I don't know if this is how you want to display your homebrew army. Look at my homebrew.
Yeah,
They're all dead in the pile.
Jade Paladin Cuddle Puddle. I'm going with that. It's a cuddle puddle. It's a bundle. Bundle of Primaris.
Here's my display board of my army. It's like on them all piles.
Well, that's it. That's armies on parade, Ben.
Yeah.
That's your armies on parade.
Here it is.
There you go. Bundle of dudes.
It works.
Was it Al Muriad? Hey there. Hey there to you too. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you very much. He made it. He's part of the Discord. He's in my little Discord group.
Right.
Little in there.
There was a Benjamin Bailey who created this awesome bundle of Primaris.
Yeah, that's his stack of minis. I didn't even know. He said, I thought someone made the pile, was putting them in there, and they are individually painted models, and just whatever, goofing around or whatever, he put them in a pile and put them on. And so I was laughing. He said later that they all have their own base now and everything. So they survived.
He's sent you some actual photos with them as well.
The apothecary healed them all. All these guys made it.
they were so excited at surving. Yeah. They just wanted to have that big, cuddle. There you go.
He's like, pile them all up. I'll fix them later.
But no, it's look actually because that going back to what you when you done my Titan last week.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting because I myself muck about a little bit. Yeah, dude. I muck about a little bit with Photoshop with my models, and I actually do stuff like this, not to this level.
Yeah, but you can clean
it's very rudimentary.
You can add a lot with just a little, for sure.
But I did actually. I took a picture and I'd done a comparison between the two, sort of thing. I was like, yeah, his is much better. But what I also did was I'd merged them together. Because I've done some things with that. I'll send you over on Twitter. I'll send a picture over
for sure.
And have a look at it, sort of thing. But that I still look at that, and all my friends were messaging me, "Oh, you got to get that printed up and have a poster or something," which I will do when I have the opportunity to.
Yeah, because I print. So I have my own printer here in the U.S., and then I have a commercial one that. So usually what happens, if they commission me and they want to print, I'll usually the prints are around, if it's for a commission, I give them a discount on the print. So it's basically almost like cost, you paid for it.
Right,
I'll give you the cost of the print, but it's usually 25 to 35 in the EU, that's with shipping. So that's including shipping and including the VAT tax over there.
Yeah.
And, but so I test them here, and a lot of these sometimes it's usually if it's dark, I sometimes have to lighten them about 3%. I'll do a 3 because ink on paper is a lot different than light through a screen, so I've learned to kind of adjust them. So I test print them here, and then once I make the adjustment, I ship them to the digital image to the printer over there, and then get them mailed out.
Mm.
So I usually
Yeah,
do that for.
I would say that obviously if you're going to be doing sort of like hard copies sent out to people, is to just check with your postal service, because with everything that's gone on over here, sort of the postal sort
Yeah,
of like costings have gone up a bit. I
yeah,
have a friend who does like pencil drawings and stuff, and
hmm,
they've been having to sort of pay extra on sort of on shipping it out.
yeah, yeah,
So obviously, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be out of pocket for the work that you're doing, sort of thing. So I'm sure most people over here, because we're getting used to all the strange things and happenings.
yeah.
Um, you know, that sort of thing is acceptable nowadays. It's going to be dearer, but at the end of the day, if you want something like this to put on your wall,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and it's just paying a little bit extra just to make sure you get it in, because at the end of the day, it's your time, it's your skill that they're
Oh, for
paying for.
sure.
Make this is like a front cover to it is that old sort of front cover from a Road Trader with the Crimson
Yeah, I
Fists.
know. That's what I'm saying. Because as soon as I saw it, it was like, and he had mentioned like the potty. And I'm like, oh, okay. I like it just popped in my head, and I'm like, I can do something like that. This will be fun. So, and I was like, the only reason I could is like I was getting commissions done. I'm like, okay, I got those commissions done, and I wasn't starting the other ones till like tomorrow or the next day. So I was like, all right, I'll do a paint over, and I think this will be a really fun one. And it worked out. And thanks for joining me. I got to catch up on get some good insights on the games. I was like, and that's part of it too. I was like part greedy. I'm like, oh, I have them on because then I can ask questions of what the games are like right now.
That's fair enough. At the end of the day, like last week, I'm happy for the company. So having a hobby chat is always fun.
You know?
You stay with the guys in the chat as well with like their little questions and
Yeah, I appreciate everyone watching. I can't believe there's like 8 people watching right now. So thank you very much. I'm gonna end up. I think I'll call this one good for now. So we'll end up stopping here shortly. I'm gonna mess with a few little things, and we'll talk a bit more, and then I'll kind of end the stream. And
yeah.
this was a lot of fun. Benjamin Bailey, I'm glad. Oh, who pointed these out to me? I know someone on Twitter. I got to pull them up.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was nice. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, good call. So he pointed them out, so I had to do these. And then I'm going to end up doing some more Titans again at
I
some.
was at Kieran _ plastic with a K.
Was the person. Thank you
Who
very much.
tagged you in Ben's picture. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's pretty damn amazing. I'm sure. What do you guys in the chat think? Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm sure Ben is probably having the same sort of emotions that I had last week when I saw my Titan coming to life.
That was a lot of
Because
fun.
that,
Titan.
compared to what it was and how it's travelled to this point, is just remarkable.
What I always think of the process, I'm like, so you had people like whatever decades ago doing art for it. Then you had like sculptors who would sculpt after it, and then a bunch of them would pass it back and forth over the decades. Then you would also have the art in the books all be inspiration. Then now the modelers would model all this, then you guys paint it, and then I'm painting it over. So it's just like this huge long stream of like all these different creative people to get to this point.
It's, I was just laughing at Ben's comment. It said, "Could do with some less dead paladins."
We'll get you some later with like living paladins, so it'll look better.
And he also says, "Thank you for being inspired to do this."
No problem. That was like just really cool to see. I never saw like much like that in photography, so that was fun.
No,
Good stuff.
it's just, as I said, it's just amazing how it's gone from a picture on a work desk to here, and and there's a process happening there.
Do the little time lapse.
Look at the evolution. of awesomeness. It's like little lightning strikes.
I know.
It is alive!
There was one section where I flipped layers that when I do the time lapse, good old Martin is in the chat and he handles editing the videos down. And there's like some serious flicker in this one at some point that I'm speeding through, but that'll have to get taken out when I bounce through layers, checking everything out. And so, everyone, thanks for joining. I'm going to end this. Lee, really appreciate you coming out again. I think next time I'm going to give you some warning, my friend. So you don't have to surprise you're going on cam. Kudos to you.
Suddenly I'll just find out there's a camera in my bathroom and I'm like, oh, what are you doing here? We're live, go.
And you all very appreciate you coming in chat and giving us some feedback and everything. I like it a lot. Helps me get better at this. You all have a wonderful day. I'm sure I will see you out on Twitter and everywhere else. Lee, any words in closing?
Well, just again, thanks for having me on to have a chat and watch this. And as I say, it's the hobby's such a thing where you can meet people from all walks of life and just enjoy something. And like everyone who's joined us in today, watching this evolve, I'm sure everyone's just like going, "Oh, that is just so good." And are now thinking of ideas of arranging their own Primaris cuddle puddle
bodies.
Yeah, just scatter him on the floor. He'll do wonders with it. But having that is just really sweet. And I say with Ben, he might be able to actually from there might be able to do something where if he wanted to add like a insignia onto the knee pad, Photoshop's not a problem with doing that anyway. So just you tweak them a little bit because obviously it is such a great image and it's one of those things. It's just going to inspire people to make piles of marines.
All right. Thanks again, all. Lee, I will talk to you again, and I'm signing off.
Take care, everyone.